All right. Good Monday morning, everyone. Happy Memorial Day. So I know if you're barbecuing, living it up outside, it is going to be a gorgeous day here in Texas outside. Remember that Memorial Day is about remembering those that did not make it home. So make sure if you take a moment of silence, if you do prayer, whatever it is that you do, that you remember the people that did not come back, that were fighting for our country. So today is that day. So make sure that some point in throughout your party day or any kind of day that you stop to think about them. But you guys are listening to Author Talk with me, Amy Farn and Russell, and our author guest and writer, publisher, just everything all around is John Goodwin. So you guys, how was everybody's weekend? Let me dive in first because I have a lot to say because I have two small children, John, that are 3 and 2, and they just give me a run for my money. Last week, as all of you guys know, I was single parenting it, and I have survived. Okay, I've survived. I made it. So I did movie night with the kids, and we watched the Super Mario Brothers movie. Oh my gosh, I could not figure out where that Peaches song was from. I'm so old, but it's from that movie with Jack Black. So I've been singing that song the entire time. Me and Joshua are getting ready to have our backyard redone, regraded, and sodded, if that's how you say that, sodded, because we have like runoff and it's not leveled right. So I was busy organizing that all weekend and planning my next home improvement that I know everyone's like, that's grounds for divorce.
Amy, there are so many things that you're doing wrong.
Russell. Anyways, I'm going to stone underneath my island and my TV wall. That's going to be my accent, is like a natural looking stone. That's next on my list. Besides the fact that I feel like most people are going to appreciate this that are listening to us now, either watching us live or listening to us later. I got a Costco membership, and so Josh was super excited about that and their hot dogs. So we went and had lunch at Costco.
Oh, yeah. The hot dogs is a serious thing. John, have you ever had a hot dog from Costco?
I have not, I must admit.
Okay. I know it sounds stupid. And when my wife told me about it, I thought it was stupid. You need to go to Costco and try a hot dog. You will be shocked.
They're
really good. Yeah.
It
was the craziest thing. The kids were at the splash pad.
I believe you, Russell.
Cranky. Yeah, they got hot and cranky. So Josh's like, oh, we're by Costco. It's like any excuse to go to Costco now. I was like that for me with Sam.
So what do you have? 10,000 boxes of macaroni and cheese?
No. No, Russell, I don't. I like to just get out and like look around because they have different things, and like their clothing there is different than it was at Sam's, but their patio furniture, oh my gosh. I went and sat in every one of their patio furniture because I was like, oh, this is nice. Oh, this is nice. Oh my gosh, we need this, right? And then I'd be like, oh, wow, no, we don't, because you see the price of it and you're like, I don't need that. Why did I sit in that? Oh, is it a little bit? I like doing those kind of things. So that's what I did this weekend. And then yesterday I went all like James Bond on Josh and the kids. So we have these like orbs shooting guns. They shoot the little water pellets, that swell up in water, the BBs or whatever. So I had a water balloon fight with the girls. They don't do it right. They just pop them on themselves. But anyways, I had a water balloon fight with them. And Josh didn't want to get wet, so I soaked him with the hose because I'm a cheater. So he ran to the front yard and got a hose. So we had a water hose fight. And then I remember that the guns were charging their batteries to shoot the little BBs, the little orbs, water pellet things. And so I went and got the guns, locked all the doors in the house, and I was just popping in and out of the house, shooting him and the kids with it. I won. I think I did this for like 30 minutes. So if any of my neighbors have that on video, they're all okay. But I had my safe place. So I went Call of Duty on them in my house while they were outside. It was so much fun. I laughed stupid because I was having so much fun. So that is like the highlight of my weekend is I beat all of them with the garden hose and the little water beads gun.
Nice.
It was so much fun. I still just laughing about it. I love it. But what all did you guys do this weekend? Anyone travel, do anything adventurous, crazy? What do we got going on?
John's dying to talk. John, what'd you do?
Well, actually, we have we just released Writers of Feature Volume 39. And so that's, for us, it's a big deal because we've got all these authors and illustrators that we newly published. So it's a pretty intensive runway. So this weekend, believe it or not, we just finished releasing the audiobook, and we're doing individual book funnel video trailers for each winner with their audio story, and getting ready to set that out. So we did all the scripting for it, and it's not necessarily a holiday weekend activity, but to maintain the enthusiasm with this new release, we do this each year. I assume you're familiar with Writers of the Future if you've got AuthorTalk, and so each year we got to make it better than the previous year. That's just one of our little things that we do. So this year we created the audiobook, and now we're doing these individual book funnels. So I worked on that, and then I went with my wife. We went for a walk. Just I'm here in Hollywood, and so just walking around in the periphery, which isn't the land of nuts and fruits. So it's in the periphery. It's nice, and lots of nice flowers, and just smelling the flowers on the streets. So that was good as a change of pace. It's not super random, but considering all the different.
What's your favorite movie star?
Who's your star?
Yeah, who's your favorite? And are you planning to drive by their house? Just saying.
I'm not planning to drive by their house. I definitely enjoy like Brad Pitt. I like I love Cruise's movies. I like I'm not so thrilled anymore with all the super CGI movies. I'm really enjoy a lot more where people have to actually have some acting chops to be able to for me to be able to have a good time. I really enjoyed Air. I just saw that one. That was just surprisingly. Someone said, "Okay, what are we gonna watch?" And we watched Air. I was like, "Wow, that was a really good movie."
Mm. Yeah, sometimes those that you least expect end up to being the best.
Exactly. That's my reality, at least. So there you go, Amy. And then I was when I got the call last night. Yeah, and then I was because it was crazy with the Rising Future event, and then we went to the following weekend after that 2-week evolution, and we went the following weekend to San Diego for the awards for the Benjamin Franklin Awards, and Rise of Future Volume 38 got the Gold Award for Best Science Fiction and Fantasy, which is great because David Farland passed last year, and he was the editor. So that was his last book that he edited, and his last story that he wrote was in there. So it was really nice that we were really hustling to be able to get as many awards in honor of him, because he put so much into the contest, and it meant so much to him. And so many of the winners, he meant so much to them. So it was good on that. So then I found out when I started digging back in my emails, when I got the email from Mickey that, "Oh, are you ready for tomorrow?" I said, "What tomorrow?" And then I'd already gone through 750 emails, and now I'm ready to do the last couple 200-300 emails to be totally caught up on all the stuff that just I don't even know how it all backlogged. So yeah, it became a work weekend, but I'm glad I took the time to start catching up on this because it was crazy.
Oh yeah, emails can get out of control. I mean, I feel like you have got to be on top of those emails, or they can just get crazy.
Yeah, and even though some of them is okay, they're not timely. Some of them are, but several of them really are timely. And if you don't handle them, then what would have taken you 30 seconds can turn into hours of unnecessary work. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's not the enthusiasm that Amy started this with her water fights.
Nobody can start with Amy's enthusiasm. We tried, and nobody can.
Russell did try one time. My power was out, and he did try to start us, and my power came back on before he completed.
It was terrible.
It did not go as well. No.
It was one of those, I'm telling you, the water fight, I've never felt more like the Mr. and Mrs. scene, like Mr. and Mrs. Smith scene, where she's like, are you still alive? I totally said that to Josh when he was by the fence and he just tried to spray me with water. I'm still reliving it. That thing never happens because usually I get so hot outside, I'm pissed and I come back inside because it's so hot here in Texas. It's just, it's hot, but I love it. I wouldn't like it cold. So no, I'm still living off that because that was so much.
That was great.
But
So Russell, where are you?
I'm in Hilton Head. And
Where
I
is
got to
that?
tell you, I've been in here. It's an island off the Atlantic. I've been here 4 or 5 days. Hilton Head is a very, very famous 5-star resort island that is nothing like I expected it to be. I expected it to be all developed like Maui in Hawaii. John, you were going to say something?
No, I was just curious about that Hilton Head. I'm trying to remember what story. I mean, I have to read a book a week on my podcast that I do.
Yeah.
And so sometimes Hilton Head, what was that? What was that? It was featured in, maybe by the end of this interview, it'll bubble up again. But anyway, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is not what I thought. It's a lot less developed than I expected it to be. It's packed with people that's moved here from the Northeast and who are tourists from the Northeast. So if you want to be around New Yorkers and not go to New York, Hilton Head is a place to go. And every night we've had 5-star like food. There's like serious restaurants everywhere. And in fact, I kind of have a hangover because the food and the bars have been so spectacular. We've overeaten and overdrank every night. It's been wonderful.
It sounds like it's a
I
great
was going to
place.
say, wow, that sounds so awful, Russell. Fern, what did you do this weekend?
So this weekend, I spent Saturday with Violet Jen, who is an artist here in Houston. She is magnificent. Her artwork is just beautiful. She got one of her paintings in an exhibit in Baytown at Mind Gardens. It's a glow-in-the-dark paint exhibit. So all the art has glow-in-the-dark. And it was such fun to walk the little gallery and see all the beautiful artwork and to do it with an artist. There, when you go to a gallery and you're looking at the art and you're enjoying it, right? It's a whole other level when you're accompanied by an artist who is like talking about like this piece and you see how they did this. And, you're getting so much more insight into what's on those walls than just like, oh, I like this one. This one's cool. You know what I mean? It was wonderful. We took pictures next to her painting, which was the one we could do because it was her painting. And just, it was really nice to see her art out there. And so if you guys it's still up next weekend. So if you are in Baytown or can go over to Baytown next weekend, Mind Gardens has the glow in the dark gallery exhibit that you could definitely do. And then on yesterday, I went to Comic Palooza because this weekend has been Comic Palooza has been going on in George R. Brown. This is the first year since we've been in business as Inklings Publishing that we are not officially having a table there. It was an interesting feeling.
Inklings?
Yes, Inklings Publishing.
Oh,
yes.
wow. Hello, Fern.
Hey. Yeah, so it was really odd, but I got invited to a couple panels. So I went down there yesterday and got to catch up with some vendors who, we usually see every year, and got to catch up with some of the literary track people. And it was really nice, but it was kind of surreal. And then my brother on my way home, right, he called me. He's like, hey, what are you doing? And and he invited me over. So I'm at my brother's house. Which is why this doesn't look that great, but But I'm just enjoying. He had get this, Russell. Okay, my brother is not a cigar smoker usually, but he bought some cohibas to smoke together with me. So that's what we did last night, was a nice, delicious glass of port and a cohiba. And deep conversation. He has a lot to say about my life, apparently, my brother. He has opinions. He has opinions.
Those siblings, why they gotta have opinions, right? Those siblings.
Those people have opinions.
I like it. It was a fun full weekend for everybody.
So, John, most people don't actually watch us Monday mornings live. Most people listen to our podcast during the week. We want to thank those people that are listening to us. We're top 10 independent book podcasts in America. To our shock and humbled thanks to the people listening to us. And Amy, where can they find us?
Yes, so you can find us anywhere that you can find a podcast, you guys. Amazon Music, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Good Pods, Google, just anywhere that you can listen to a podcast. You can hear us. Type in AuthorTalk. We have our new branding that I've been talking about. That's crimson, red, and gold because I like it. So that's what it is. And I thoroughly like it. It pops up under AuthorTalk when you see our new logo and branding. That's us. You can follow us, subscribe to us. You can come over on our Facebook group, our YouTube channel, or any one of our social media platforms and watch us. Like I say every week, me and Fern control what comes out of our mouth, but our facial expressions and hand expressions are fair game. So that's generally how we are. We are very animated people. We like to have a good time. We have been doing this for 8 years, thanks to Russell and his ideas. So it's been a lot of fun. We've interviewed a lot of authors and publishers and writers and people that have made a big impact in the writing community, and we love doing it and hearing their stories and finding new authors to read and just dive into. So it has been so much fun for us. We are incredibly grateful and humbled, like Russell said, for all of you guys listening to us, watching us. We love engaging with you guys. So if you come over to our Facebook group, feel free to leave us a comment or anything like that, or a question. We like to kind of engage and make you guys a part of the conversation to enjoy it as much as we have. But with all of that being said, Fern, let's kick it to you and let's get John talking about everything that he has going on.
Yeah, so that finding new authors and bringing new author voices is kind of what you do, John.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Galaxy Press, because I think, like the award, we'll talk about that one in a little bit, but I'd like to know a little bit more about Galaxy Press, how it started, its mission, a little bit more about that.
Sure. Well, Galaxy Press started in 2002, and it's twofold. One, we're the fiction publisher of all the fiction works of L. Ron Hubbard. And then we've got this contest called Writers of the Future that he created in 1983. And so we've continued now. So we just published volume 39, and we're halfway through year number 40. So what we do is see to the international publishing of all those works. And then we also have, like I said, this contest. And it's an amazing amount of fun because I meet so many new authors. Now we're like 850 writers and authors that we've celebrated. The first one being Dean Wesley Smith. He was the first person to get awarded on this stage back in '85. And he's now judge along with his wife, Chris. And that became in Taos, New Mexico. That was the first Rise of Future romance. That's where he met Chris at the writer workshop there. And but anyway, so what we do is we publish this. We've got the forum, the Rise of Future forum. We got riseoffuture.com, which we run. And so that's got, it's won best writing forum for the last 3 years. And then we've got obviously the podcast, which is growing right now. And on the People's Choice Podcast Awards, I've been a finalist the last 3 years. So that goes good. And that's grown quite a bit. Have a lot of great guests in it, like you do with your podcast. And then the main thing is we're really working to get, how do we get more people to read Writers of the Future, the book, because that's how they meet the new authors. And so, you've got every now and then the breakouts like Pat Rothfuss, who that's how he got his start, but you got like Nnedi Okorafor, who's a dear friend, who's now a judge for the contest. Was originally published in Writers of the Future. So we've got, some great, relationships that have built, and they just continue to lend their name to it because of what it's done for them. And that's like pretty much what we do. It was something that was started. The Writers of the Future contest was originally a writer contest that was done when Ron Hubbard was in Ketchikan, Alaska. I think it was in 1942 on an Explorers Club mission, and he started there, and that became his first attempt. That he was there in Ketchikan for about a couple months, and so while he's doing that, he launched his contest, which then became the model for what he started in the mid '80s. But otherwise, that's what we do. I love going to the various conventions. Our books do well in the awards, and we always, Rise of the Future always wins at least 1 or 2 awards because it's been very. We work hard to make it, the best start for the writers and the artists. So we've got
Galaxy Press is, kind of focused around the publishing and promoting of the compilation anthology for the contest, basically.
Correct.
Do you guys ever take on authors that you publish books, or are you just exclusively connected to the contest?
Exclusively the contest and to Mr. Hubbard's works. So just right now, we created the podcast. I'm in the 4th year now. So reading a book a week, that keeps me busy with that. Just to be able to, because I won't interview somebody unless I've read one of their books to really talk about. We go into it. Yeah. But it's it's been good. So like when I've had like some of the different, like I just recently had Brian Herbert. He had finished writing a book on his father. So his father was one of the first judges for the contest, and now Brian's a judge. But it was great talking about him because he has great stories about his dad, who's obviously a cool dude.
Yeah.
But then,
for those who don't know, that's Frank Herbert, author of Dune, that we're talking about. Yeah.
Sorry. Yes. But then I've had Ken Liu, who was in Rise of the Future, I think volume 19 or so, and then I try to get, like you said, you do publishers on your show. So I've had Tom Doherty, who's since become a good friend. He just retired as publisher of Tor Books, and Tony Weisskopf's been a guest. But I've also done some of the different guests from the various audio publishers. So I've had, Michelle Cobb and people with connected with audiobooks. Just I try to answer questions, and so in order to answer the questions, you have to find out answers people have on publishing. How do you do it? Was it self, indie, traditional? And so I've had all types of people and just all types of conversations. So that takes up a lot of time as well. Our books do sell a lot, in the U.S., in Canada, in South Africa, in Australia, Canada, UK.
So the contest is Writers of the Future, right?
Correct. And Illustrators of the Future.
And Illustrators of the Future. What are some of the categories? Is this because, L. Ron Hubbard is kind of known for like sci-fi, right? For more speculative fiction. But I imagine the contest is open to maybe more variety, or is it? What are your main focuses for the contest?
Well, the main focus is speculative fiction. So that means science fiction, fantasy, alternate history. You've got dark fantasy. We do have, you can call it light horror, dark fantasy. We'll go that far. It's basically nothing we publish is any worse or any higher grade than PG-17 type thing. So we have something that's going to be appropriate for middle school on up. And so we have thousands of entries every quarter. It's a lot. And from like over 175 countries, we get entries from. So, and so anybody can enter any of those categories up to 17,000 words. You can't be professionally published. That's defined in the rules at writersofthefuture.com. And the sweet spot is around 6,000 to 8,000 words of what actually gets published in the book. The one that we're...
So it's really for emerging authors.
Yeah,
it's for authors who have not yet, gotten a real publishing deal.
Yeah. And Mombi writes, is it something beginning writers can take part in? Absolutely. It is for aspiring writers, for the beginning writer. The difference being that once a person gets publishing, they're now a professional writer. It's that to make the cut on this one here, like Orson Scott Card would say, so in other words, this is when he was publishing his Intergalactic Medicine Show. He said, so the rest of us get what Rise of the Future rejects. So making a joke on it, but it's because it's strictly blind. For those that don't know, it's blind judged. So the story comes in, most everybody just uploads it now into the computer on the portal. And then a number is assigned to the story by the contest administrator. That's what gets sent to the judges. They get the story or the art and a number. So we have no idea of the nationality, the age, the ethnicity, sex, anything at all. It's just straight, are you a good storyteller? And that's what makes it the top, competition of its kind in the world. And then you've got the judges like this is Tom Wood did this cover. The covers are done by our judges. Frank Rossetti used to do the covers at the beginning of the contest, and he's one of the judges.
I love that there's a dragon on it. I mean, you had me at that dragon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was great. We had a lot of.
I actually submitted twice, but before my books ever came out, I submitted twice to the contest. I got honorable mentions. I got my little, certificate and everything. I was like, congratulations. Ooh, yay.
Yeah, it was. It's interesting now. Where about once a week I'll see someone's press release announcing the new novel, saying I won honorable mention in Rise of the Future, because it's moved up so much now in status that it can do that. That has that much recognition. That's awesome for you. I ran into Stephen King's son, Joe Black.
I don't know.
Anyway, his son, I ran into at an ALA a few years ago, and said, "Are you familiar with Rise of the Future?" Oh yeah, I won honorable mention in that. So it's amazing how many people have actually entered on their way up. Brandon Sanderson, when I got him on as a judge, I was speaking to him at his online writing course at BYU. I was a guest speaker, and asked him, about it. He said, "Yeah, well, when I first started, I was ready to quit writing." And because he'd been writing and nothing had sold. And he said he got an honorable mention, and that's what helped him decide not to give up. And he kept on writing. And about 6 months later, he sold his first novel, and definitely has not had to look back since,
Yeah. I mean, these kinds of things can really help an author, not just whether or not you make it into the book, that's awesome, but just having gotten an honorable mention, just having participated is a wonderful experience, because it is such a huge contest. So just being able to say, hey, I threw my hat in the ring, for good or ill, I was in it,
Yeah, so, it's one of those things that the judges will say too, you can't win if you don't submit. And because it's blind judge, there's no repercussion to you. It's like, oh, I don't want somebody to hate on me. That's, in fact, on our website, if somebody comes in and does any hateful stuff, they get one warning, and second time they're banned. It's just real simple. We just don't, there's no judging, nothing like that. It's all about, if you want to get judged, post something on Facebook or Twitter, they'll have a heyday with you.
Yeah. And I think that's definitely one of the things that happens a lot because of the cyber situation, right? You can just almost anonymously, you don't have to look at the person in the face, right? When you're hating on them. So that's just a horrible thing. I'm glad you guys, are very firm. I wanted to get to Mombi asking about sci-fi. These don't have a specific theme, right? It's just like, if you have a story that fits the speculative genre within the scope of what the contest covers, it doesn't have to have anything specifically for any particular volume.
Right. The main thing is they can't have no heavy sex, no super violence, no super graphic language type stuff. So it's going to be appropriate for middle school and up. But otherwise, it's just speculative fiction. So we've got it's all over. Like this one here, it's got hard sci-fi, it's got psychological, it's got and everything in between. So it's, and even Kevin Anderson wrote one of his stories to go with this cover here. One of his Dan Shambles zombie PI stories he wrote that this inspired him to do. Even though we had a lot of Chinese media came to the awards gala a few weeks ago because they loved the fire dragon, the Chinese fire dragon. So yeah, it's family friendly, but we can 1000% guarantee if you like speculative fiction, you're going to have something in there you're going to like because it's such across the spectrum, So
it's so funny you mentioned Kevin J. Anderson. He's going to be coming to the Houston Writers Guild. He's going to be our conference keynote speaker in October, and he's doing a couple workshops for us. So we're very excited to get to see him in person.
Oh, he's such a good guy. I've known him for decades. He novelized one of the Brian Herbert screenplays back in 1999, I think, I Pedrito. But he entered the contest almost 20 times before he pro'd out. And it was funny when I made him a judge, he got on stage and he goes, "Yay! I'm finally published in Writers of the Future." He was all excited because he'd been entering for well over a decade to finally be able to be published with an essay that he wrote. He's such a good guy, and Rebecca, his wife, they're an amazing team.
And we're very excited to see him come. So this contest, though, back to the contest. Yeah. Before we digress into other areas, it is quarterly, right? And so you really have 4 chances every year. You have 4 chances to get a story in there and to possibly do it, before you finally get more professionally published.
Sure,
and then you're out.
So can you send the same story back and back? You got to send new stories in?
Yeah, you have to. And that's what's good about it too, is it encourages writers to write, because that's how you get better. You got to write, and you got to be willing to say, okay, that was a good shot there in this story idea. Let's see if we have another story idea. I mean, I haven't read Murder for Me that you wrote, Russell. So,
but listen, back more than 20 years ago, I actually bought this, the book that came out from this contest.
Really?
And yes, I was stunned when Amy told us who we had on. Actually, I bought this book. It was a long, long time ago. There was a story in there that was so impactful of me that I still almost remember it word for word. So
that's amazing. That's
you get great stories. And I got to tell you, the books that come out of this contest, they're great reads. If you're a science fiction fan, you will love this book. I love your books that come out of these contests.
Thank you. Yeah. When they when the guy made the presentation at the Benjamin Franklin Awards a few weeks ago in San Diego, he read what the jury said about it, and they said this book was so far ahead of everything of all the other ones. It was really nice to to get that recognition, especially like I said to acknowledge Dave Farland. Right now, Jody Lynn Nye is our coordinating judge, but we have some amazing talented authors that just want to be able to help the next generation of writers. It's such an open door policy as created by, originally by Mr. Hubbard.
Now when you show that book, it is a thick book. So how many stories usually make it into the book? Is there a specific number that are in there every single time? The same number? Does it vary?
It varies. We have a story from a judge. We have a story from Mr. Hubbard. We have the story that's written against the cover art. We have at least 12 winners, and sometimes we'll publish finalists to keep the books roughly the same thickness so that we have a continuity there. Because sometimes if a story is 17,000 words, then that uses up twice as much space as an 8,000 word story. Mm-hmm. So all we have is the limit is that we've had one story that we published it's probably been 30 plus years ago. That was 1 page long. So that was a serious work of art there. It's not going to happen again. But anyway, it was good when it happened, you know.
Now, you mentioned before, like, that only, even though the contest itself, you can go up to the 17 okay, that you actually would publish about 6,800-ish words. So do you kind of take
that's the sweet spot for what wins.
Okay.
Because the longer the story is, the more opportunities you've got to mess up.
Got you. Okay, so like lengthwise, as a writer, you want to try to shoot for, like, 6,000 to 7,000 words being the length of your story.
Yeah, that's kind of like what makes it. It's a tight story. Although we had a grand prize winner, Darcy Stone, about 6 years ago, whose story was 17,000. It was an awesome story. And like the judges say, look, you can definitely do it. It's got to be a really tightly written story, because so many times you get length with a lot of adverbs. So you need to make sure that it's a really tightly written story. So if it's 17,000 words, that's great if you pull it off. It's just that's what ends up making it in the book is 6,000 to 8,000 words is the length of a story that actually are the winners.
Yeah, because they're tighter, they're more concise.
Yeah. But you can make it at 17. Yeah, like I said.
What advice would you give to those who are thinking, oh, this story, this contest is so huge, there's so many opportunities, so many people involved, my story's just never going to make it? What advice and encouragement would you give to that person to say, hey, come on, go for it?
Well, the first thing I'd say, that's the same line I hear from about 95% of the people. So very rarely does someone think that they're like, I got this. The winners are normally amazingly humble, and they're like surprised. Some of them have been working at, like, one winner this year has been submitting for 20 years. So if you think you're gonna write a story and submit it and win, more power to you, and that does happen. But they've also got a serious history of writing, and only recently discovered the contest to be able to submit. So it's not an act, apples equals apples type of a scenario there. But the purpose of contest is to help you, is to provide a platform for the aspiring writer to have for their works to be seen and heard. So the worst that's going to happen, the very worst that you'll receive from the contest is, thank you for submitting, please submit again. That's the very worst you're going to get from us. So whether you write the most amazing need of improvement story or not, you're going to get encouragement. I mean, that's what it's about, is encouragement. If, like I said earlier, if you want someone to come and rain on your parade 24/7, there's lots of places you can find that. That's not what we're about. Never have been, never will be. And so that's why we have people from all over entering. And so don't be afraid. The judges don't even know who they're reading. All they see is a number. So even if you have something that's not good, they won't see your name until you become a finalist.
Right.
So at that point, I would hope you're going to be somewhat proud. You might have second thoughts about if you're going to win the final award, but pretty much anybody who's a finalist, your story's sellable. And a lot of times now, an honorable mention will sell their stories.
Yes.
But what I would recommend that people do is, we have a free online writing workshop that we created right at the outset of the pandemic. We got videos from Dave Farland, Orson Scott Card, and Tim Powers, and about a dozen essays by Mr. Hubbard. We've had over 8,000 people on that course. So that's been very successful. We have the podcast, where I'm always trying to get people to provide their tips and what they did, that, any advice they've got, what their journey's been, and also tips about writing science fiction, fantasy, alternate history. The first steampunk you saw was about 5 years before the genre happened. was in this series, and several other forms of science fiction and fantasy were pretty much heralded in the series, because these are the guys that went on to change and transform the genre with that. So it's the advice is, like I said, the way to get better at writing is to write. You have to keep on writing. So that's what this encourages. And if you've got a friend, we've had one story of a person in San Diego who got this call that you won. He said, "What did I win?" Rise of the Future. I didn't enter it. Turned out his wife submitted his story.
Oh,
because he was so like, "Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough." So she said she bypassed him and sent it on in. That's happened a few times where someone's like, they got the call and they went, "What?"
That's an awesome story.
Yeah,
That's
also
awesome.
turned it in. Yeah.
so the new you just published volume 39. You're in the phase of promoting that one. Volume 40 is opening. What is the window for submission for that? And what
Sure.
in general, like how do the windows go for people to submit, etc.?
Right. So it's every 3 months. The contest originally started October 1st. So you got October through December, January through March. We're now in the April through June window, and then it's July through September. And it just immediately rolls over. So it continues going on. Mr. Hubbard's funded the contest in perpetuity. So one thing, it's been well over $1 million in awards that's been dispersed, but the contest will pay for the flights. From one year, we had 3 winners coming in from Australia. So he pays for the flights. His legacy pays for the hotel. We stay in a real nice hotel here in Hollywood. The awards gala, a lot of all the judges coming out. He funds the contest as well. That keeps it going throughout the year. All the work of the coordinating judge, and so it's something so that when a person wins, it's not like, oh, I don't have the thousands of dollars it takes to get out there, because whatever like I said, the flight, we pick them up at the airport, take them back afterwards. It's the award ceremony is considered like the Oscars of science fiction and fantasy, because it's a black tie event.
That is awesome.
A lot of media that covers it, and a lot of big names in science fiction are going to come there to see who they're going to be reading next.
Mm-hmm. So July begins the new contest. So you guys start polishing up some pieces. If you're out there and you write in this genre, start polishing up your piece. Start thinking, which piece am I going to throw in there? And let's see.
It's free to enter. It's free.
Yeah. So let's see who gets out there. I'm gonna pass it over to Amy because I know we're running out of time. I feel the vibrations coming off of Russell.
Do you feel it from Russell? John, Russell's our time Nazi. He gets very antsy. And so me and Fern we have a healthy fear of Russell and his time Nazi-ness. So we try to avoid that as much as possible.
Russell looks like a teddy bear. He's out there and just like enjoying the time of his life out there.
No.
Let me tell you about bears. Okay, I have some experience with bears. They look cute. They look snuggly. They have big ass claws. I'm just saying. Okay.
Yeah, it's a facade. It's very much.
You guys are so funny.
Russell, what closing questions, statements, comments from you before I wrap us up?
John did not tell people how to get in contact with the competition. John, please tell us.
Sure. Thank you very much, Russell. That's a great question there. So it's writersofthefuture.com. It's a one-stop shop there. All the stuff we've been talking about, it's all right there at writersofthefuture.com. And I do encourage you to get a copy of the newest volume here. It just came out, Writers of the Future, volume 39. It's you'll be able to meet 12 new amazing artists and 12 amazing authors who are just had their breakout. And it's just some really cool stories that's in the books are in bookstores all over the United States, Canada, and they will in about a month they'll be throughout South Africa, Australia, and UK. But it's writersofthefuture.com, and you can buy the book at galaxypress.com or wherever you buy your books.
Very cool.
Wonderful. Well, John, thank you so much for working your schedule so you could come and talk to us this morning. I know it's early over there in Hollywood for sure. So we deeply appreciate it, and for bringing awareness towards this concept to our listeners and our viewers and everything like that. And, that Fern was an honorable mention is like exciting. I love it.
This is awesome. Yay.
I know. I love to hear that. But
and I
you guys
appreciate the opportunity to talk with you as well. This is great. I love being able to do something that's going to help introduce these writers and to make it and let people know that it exists for them to be able to try as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love learning new things. I had no idea. So I am definitely a new person that just learned about it. So I love it. And I get excited when I learn new things, especially for the writing community and helping new authors or aspiring authors, right, to have their opportunity for their writing to be read. But you guys, we hope you all have a fantastic Monday, a great Memorial Day. Remember to remember those that did not make it home. But until next week, everybody, also have a fantastic week. And we'll catch you all next